rise and shine.
Rise and shine, chop chop.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day.
Rise and shine, rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
Rise and shine.
You guys are nerds.
This is exactly what the nerds want.
Our name shall become legend, spoken in hushed tones by nerds across the galaxy.
If you build it, nerds will come.
Nerds must love this place.
They think we're a bunch of nerds, and I'll tell you something. I think they're right.
Let the nerds take over.
Let the nerds take over.
Rise and shine, nerds. We hope you've got your coffee because it's time for our brand new morning show for Love Thy Nerd and anyone who finds themselves at the cross section of nerd culture and church culture. I'm Radio Matt. I'm the Director of Content and Resources for Love Thy Nerd.
And I'm Daedra, runner-up to the Southwestern Chubby Bunny Marshmallow Stuffing Championship.
This week, we're living in the past. This Thursday is Embrace Your Geekiness Day, and so this week, we are celebrating the geekiness of our pasts year by year. But first, we are kicking off the week with a Discord discussion, and before we even get to this week's question, we have an announcement. We have received several options for a new name for our Discord community, which we formerly named them without any input. We named them Shiners. People don't like that name. People think there's too many things called Shiners. It's too confusing. Do we need little hats and tiny cars? So the group has voted. I'm sorry, I'm reading your line. I forgot to let you have a part in this.
The group voted between keeping the old name and these four options: Shinies, Risers, Early Birds, and Daybreakers.
Shiners received the least votes, so we get it. We get it, folks. You do not like the name. I got it. It was a bad choice, and I'm sorry. Daybreakers was close, but the clear winner was Shinies. A slight but significant tweak to the old name. The name Shinies has connections to a couple different pieces of nerdy pop culture. Firstly, Pokemon, with the rare shiny Pokemon. And shiny is also an old Western word for good, which was revived for the short-lived but much beloved series Firefly. So I don't hate the name. So
all right,
you can be a shiny in our Discord.
Yay! I got a shout out for my new headphones.
Oh, you did. Tad Hall says you got cute headphones.
These headphones are the reason I know Matthew loves me.
They're child-sized headphones.
I have a tiny head, and the other ones were hurting my ears. So if you'd like to join in and be a shiny yourself, go to lovethynerd.com/Discord and join up. Then in the channels and roles section, click on Rise and Shine Nerds.
Now, we are kicking off today's show with a question to our Shinies. We asked the question to our Discord: what is the first thing you really remember nerding out about as a kid? And we got a lot of answers. We're going to read through some of these that we have here. Silver Tyranny, our friend and coworker, said Harry Potter books in the second grade is the first thing that she remembers getting really obsessed with. Wow. So new rules on Discord: cut out some names when you're streaming. And so I don't know who said this. Will it show me? Nope. T with the mouse. I don't know who that is. Somebody said it cuts off some of the names. It just says T ...
Huh.
So I guess that's a setting that you can have now, so your name won't be showing up on someone's stream by accident. I don't know. Next time I'm just going to have to copy and paste these so I know the names. Anyway.
Can't give you credit. Sorry.
T says, at first I thought, the animal I loved and could not learn enough about, but then I realized the answer was Disney animated films. You're only 4 once. I feel like that's Thray. I'm going to say that's Thray. I don't recognize the picture, but I'm pretty sure that's Thray. All right. Ice Puddle Sam says Pokemon cards in the second grade. Never got into Pokemon cards. Kids love them, which is strange. It's been around for so much longer than they've been alive, but they're all into them.
Yep.
Wandering Knight, Drew says video games, Pokemon on the Game Boy, and maybe Star Wars cards. I didn't even know Star Wars had cards. I guess they're just trading cards. I'm
Maybe
assuming?
so. Yeah. I didn't know they existed. They're probably really rare now.
Maybe. A bit. Cynical. Colin says, I was so obsessed with Legos. I remember hearing whatever you're doing on New Year's Eve is what you'll do all year. So I would sit in my room and build with Legos till after midnight. I had a lot of Legos when I was a kid. Brother Mod says, first geeky obsession was probably dinosaurs. But I still feel like the more correct answer is Thundercats.
I'm trying to remember Thundercats.
Whoa. I only know the song that Reliant K did. Michael Jackson Bad album was my earliest memory. That's not a bad memory at all. 'Cause that was a good album. Mosaic says that he has all the Star Wars cards and stickers. Wow.
Yeah.
Trishan says, my earliest memory of nerding out was to anime and Astro Boy. Astro Boy. Remember that. Gabigan says, I'm going with the Atari 2600 and Star Wars. So he's a little older than us, too. We just missed all the Star Wars movies, like birth-wise. Like I thought they were further back in the 80s, but they were further up.
My parents went to see them in the theaters. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. KY Redhead says the first thing she remembers geeking out about was movie musicals, but she says it was likely Strawberry Shortcake. But then she came back and said, I may have to change my answer entirely and go with Super Grover now that I think about it. Hello, everybody. Oriole Jedi Brian says the first thing I remember geeking out about was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I'm pretty sure that's my answer too.
Yeah.
It's like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Pogs. That's what I first remember geeking out about and collecting.
I never got into Power Rangers.
Never?
No.
So sad. It was so good in the early days. It might still be good. I don't know. But I can't believe it's still going on, honestly. And then Toffee says, my answer has to be Super Smash Brothers Brawl, which was the Wii installment in the franchise. It's the first video game I can remember me and my dad playing together, as well as the first one I remember becoming better than him at. And it kicked off my huge obsession with the franchise, which leads me to where I am today, going to tournaments and playing on my high school's esports team for the very same franchise, although the newer title, of course. 2 years in a row champion, I think, for Super Smash Brothers, his team is. So, state champion, which is really cool. Really cool.
Also, I feel really old that's his first memory.
That's his first, the Wii version of Super Smash Brothers. I've been around for all the versions, long before they even thought about having them fight. All right, let's jump into our Discord chat real quick, because we got a few people waiting on us over here.
Ooh.
Hello?
Hi.
Is anybody there? Tad. Hello, Tad. Tad, we got
I'm here.
Josh and Todd. We're gonna wait on Todd. Todd's working right now. Todd's a psychopharmacologist. No, he's a pharmaceutical man. Hey, there he is. All right. So he's in the middle of work. So we're gonna make sure that he goes first and gets to share with us stuff that he nerded out about as a child. So, Todd, what is your earliest memory? And you already said in the chat that you're so old, and I mean, we all understand.
I am the grandpa, I feel, of the group. So being 55, isn't that terrible? So my earliest, it goes back to 1981. My grandma used to take all of us boys to the movies, so she took us to go see Clash of the Titans, the Ray Harryhausen Clash of the Titans.
Wow.
With the the clay animation special effects, and I loved it. And I asked her if she would please get me any type of magazine that came out about the movie, because she worked at a pharmacy. Coincidence. She was in charge of buying all the magazines and baseball cards and all the toys and stuff like that. So, and at that time, I don't know if they still do this or not, but a movie came out, there'd be like all kinds of magazines with pictures and all kinds of stuff. So,
oh yeah, they still do that for some of them.
Gotcha. And I was like, Grandma, will you please get this for me? So I go to visit her about a week later, and she's like, I got you that magazine you wanted. I was like, great, Clash of the Titans. But it wasn't. It was New Teen Titans issue 1. from 1981, the George Perez cover, and she accidentally started me collecting comic books, and after that, I was sold. I was comic books from then on.
Yeah,
and,
still to this day. Yeah, he posts
exactly.
he posts his pulls every week in the group.
That's Grandma's fault, man.
Awesome.
I keep that comic book downstairs in my mosaic shop up on the wall.
Wow.
That is absolutely cool. I love that story so much.
It was great having a grandma who was in charge of buying baseball cards.
I'll bet, yeah.
Not only that, but like I said in the chat, I've got all of the Star Wars cards, all of the Indiana Jones cards, all the Batman cards. I even got Desert Storm cards because my grandma was in charge of buying all that stuff, and she would just get it and put it back for me.
You know what? When we first brought it
Awesome, Grandma.
when we first brought it up a second ago, I was like, I didn't realize there were Batman cards. But now I'm remembering, like, there were certain shops when we lived in Albuquerque, comic shops, that had cards. And I remember we had gotten that pack of cards from the first of the rebooted Star Trek movies. Remember, we still have that in our, like that.
Yeah,
I forgot they had a whole bunch of them. Yeah, they had
1977.
They had a lot of the older ones too, but that was the. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah,
even have $6 Million Man cards.
Wow. So they're not trading cards at all. They're just like.
Well, they are.
Are they?
Came in pack. Yeah, packs with bubble gum.
Oh, that's true. Okay. I guess the cards that I'm remembering are just like it's like the whole movie essentially, and just picture by picture. So I wouldn't see myself trading those. Because then I'd lose part of the movie.
There were like 200 cards in a set, and it started at the beginning, and they were basically stills of the movie, and then stickers were extra.
I guess if you bought them in individual packs of like 10 or whatever, we bought the whole set of that Star Trek thing, so that would have been easier. So yeah, I get that. Trading cards, you buy them, you hope other people are buying them. Wow, that used to be a big thing. Trading cards. I still remember like baseball cards and stuff that my brother would buy. He would buy those big long packs of them and then go through every individual thing.
She bought those for me too. Actually, in order to I'm taking this off the rail. In order to buy my wife's engagement and wedding ring, I had in the closet a box of 1982 Topps football cards and had 2 Joe Montana rookies and sold them for enough money to get my wife's wedding and engagement ring.
Oh,
that's incredible.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Grandma.
That's fantastic.
Grandma invested in your future.
She absolutely did. I miss her tremendously.
That's awesome. All right, Josh. It's Josh, right? Your name's so long, I forgot. Yeah, Josh. Your name's cut off. Viridian Toothy Cow. Josh, what is the first thing you remember nerding out about as a child?
My first thing that, relates to geekiness would be in early elementary school. My dad pulled out his old NES, and we played the Super Mario Brothers with the Duck Hunt.
Oh, okay. The one that came the 2 games in one pack?
Yeah, where it was on the same cartridge.
Yeah.
And I remember being so ecstatic after dozens of times playing it, beating the first world, because I was that bad at it at the time.
So did you prefer the Mario or the Duck Hunt?
Definitely the Mario. And I remember when it finally got to the end of the 8th world and it says, hey, you can start over. I was like, oh my goodness.
It took me a really long time to get to the point where I could beat Super Mario Brothers, but I didn't get to play with my parents. My parents weren't into games or anything, so I just had to like teach myself, which back then that was a very complicated game for children when they first came out.
Yeah, I have a bunch of sisters, so it was the normal Mario Luigi competition.
Gotcha.
And saying I have the wrong character, you can jump further and things like that.
That's awesome. Tad.
Yeah. So I grew up not knowing that I was a nerd. And what I mean by that is my parents watched Star Trek and Stargate. My dad was the reason why we had a Super Nintendo entertainment system in our house, because he would play with one of his old Navy mates, and he would play Mario on on the SNES. So, yeah. But the first things I remember, like getting into myself, was Pokemon cards, and I still have my first binder of Pokemon cards, with a dinosaur that I made out of those blow pens back in the day.
Wait, hold on. It's the ones where you literally blew into them and it like shot out the ink. I remember the commercials for that.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
First commercial, my mom I'll actually buy these ones. So I have blow art.
Wow.
And then Game Informer magazines was the next thing that I actually collected and enjoyed reading and stuff.
Game Informer was good. I still had like the Nintendo Power back when those were coming out. That was my jam.
Mm-hmm.
And there's apparently almost immediately after Nintendo Power stopped publishing, a fan group picked it up and started publishing their own version of Nintendo Power that's still going today, called Nintendo Force. And it's like $5 a month on Patreon, or every 2 months on Patreon, and you get like 6 issues a year. Looks really cool. I got a couple of them that I tried out. It's really neat. But that is awesome.
What is garbage?
Various. So yeah, I was going to bring this up. So in the chat, David by Ron Hicks says he collected Garbage Pail Kids cards. My older brother Mike collected these as well. They're styled after Cabbage Patch Kids. You remember the really chubby, dolls? They are the nastiest. It's like them getting run over, guts spilling out, vomiting, all kinds of they're the nastiest things, and they were so popular in the early 90s.
Wow.
My brother had a binder full of those, and every now and then I would look through it and try not to throw up. It was so bad. Now I can't look at them.
Funny story on that one too. My uncle, my mom's brother, liked those cards, but he got bored from collecting them, so my mom started completing the series of the Garbage Pail Kids. And my mom to this day will still once in a while buy a pack and see what she gets.
Are they still coming out? Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, they still come out.
Oh man. What's that? David said, I had to secretly collect them. My mom was not a fan. Mosaic says, my mom neither, but my grandma got them for me, and my mom didn't dare fuss at my grandma. Man, all right. Well, thank y'all so much for joining us here in the chat. We're going to do this more often once we come back from our break, so hope to hear from y'all again. All right, thank y'all.
Bye.
Oh, bye. Cut you off. We are going to stop right there and take our first break.
Well, I don't know where we're at. Okay, there we go. But when we come back, we've got today's nerdy news story. I feel like I should have known that was what the line was.
I mean, I feel like that's always the line. That one doesn't change.
Welcome to The Lightning Round, brought to you by Moviga. I'm Steven with your weekly source for all things movies, video games, and more. Now grab your ponchos and let's catch up on this week's news. The upcoming Sims 5 game will reportedly adopt a Fortnite model, making it free to play, that also allows users to create content for other players to use. As long as I can still set up fireworks in the house, I'm in. A new Last Airbender game has been announced, featuring local and online co-op. The game's titled The Quest for Balance and will take players through the story of the original cartoon. All previous Airbender games have been pretty bad, so let's hope this one's good, because right now they could really use a wind. wind. You know what I'm saying? The Magic the Gathering line of Lord of the Rings cards saw one single card known as the One Ring released to the public. This card is worth well over $2 million and was recently found by an anonymous freaking lucky customer. So if you're interested, grab your debit card and wait for it to show up on eBay. Let's get some sports news in here for all you athletes. PepsiCo released a Pepsi-flavored ketchup known as Cola Chup in a few baseball stadiums across America on July 4th. So unfortunately, it's already over, but I thought you should know what you missed out on. Go team! Greta Gerwig, director of the upcoming Barbie movie, has been hired by Netflix to direct 2 new movies based on C.S. Lewis' The Chronicles of Narnia series. No word yet on what those 2 films will be, but it's a great series, so hopefully we'll get to see every book get the big screen treatment, just on the small screen still. Well, it looks like the storm has passed. Be sure to check out the Moviga podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or anywhere you listen to that sort of thing, where we're talking all things movies, video games, and more. I'm Steven, and thanks again for joining me this week for the Lightning Round.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show, and there are 4 ways that you can experience our show. If you prefer to see our smiling faces each morning, you can join the YouTube premiere of each episode at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. While we aren't actually live, I will be live in the YouTube chat watching along under the Love Thy Nerd handle. Let's talk about feeding the AI machine.
Oh, I'm done talking about AI.
Oh, you'll never be done. We'll never be done. Every week, we will keep talking about it.
Someone, really quick.
Go ahead.
I'm a fan of Pocket Camp, Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, yeah.
And someone changed their name to AI. One of my friends on there. It just says AI now.
Wow. Google has updated its privacy policy over the weekend, explicitly, this was last weekend, explicitly saying the company reserves the right to scrape just about everything you post online to build its AI tools. So,
wow.
If Google can read your words, assume they belong to the company now, and expect that they're nesting somewhere in the bowels of a chatbot. Google uses information to improve our services and to develop new products, features, and technologies that benefit our users and the public, the new Google policy says. For example, we use publicly available information to help train Google's AI models and build products and features like Google Translate, Bard, and Cloud AI capabilities. Fortunately for history fans, Google maintains a history of changes to its terms of service. The new language amends an existing policy, spelled out new ways your online musings might be used for the tech giant's AI tools work. So previously, Google said data would be used for language models rather than AI models, and where the older policy just mentioned Google Translate, Bard, and Cloud AI now make an appearance. Bard is their chatbot, their official chatbot. This is an unusual clause for a privacy policy. Typically, these policies describe ways that a business uses the information that you post in the company's own services. Here, it seems Google reserves the right to harvest and harness data posted on any part of the public web, as if the whole internet is the company's own AI playground.
Wow.
Sorry. That story coming from Gizmodo. It's one of those things like, what can you do? You know?
Right. Well, okay.
It's not technically illegal because it's all public stuff, right? It's not saying it's going into your private stuff. Mm-hmm. It's saying it's going into your public stuff. So it's like if Joe Blow from, Wisconsin can dig up all this stuff that you've posted online publicly and use it for his benefit, then why can't Google do the same? I don't know.
I was reading the chat.
Yeah, go ahead. That's what I'm stopping for.
Tad Hall says, I so did not agree with this new policy. I don't care if it is to train AI. because they can sell the right to utilize their AI from my info.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't think you could just like go to their Bard and say, "Hey, tell me everything you know about Tad Hall." But who knows? Maybe you can.
I'm gonna try Googling myself after this. I'm scared.
It's gross. Padawan Pastor says, I can see a legal minefield. I don't know. I really don't know. I feel like this is a gray area. I mean, I'm sure there will be some legal precedent set, but I feel like it's going to go in Google's favor because, again, this is publicly available information. So it's like they're making a really big report.
Every app you sign up for, every profile you make for yourself, there are terms and conditions
that none of us read.
Nobody reads, but in signing up to do that, you're giving away some of your rights there.
Partner, you don't do much there. Meridian to the Cow says, but this way you can technically be a part of the AI that enslaves you. Oh man. Let's move on to the Reddit blackouts. So we talked about Reddit a couple weeks ago, how not most of it, I guess a lot of the popular Reddit subreddits had blacked out, had closed, not letting any new members in, not letting any new posts be posted, as a form of protest against the new, very strict rules of how Reddit's working that were implemented kind of all of a sudden after, 15 years or however long this thing's been going, a very long time. Some of those subreddits still closed, even though the people behind Reddit said they will be open and they will be working normally soon, implying that they'll replace the people who are in charge of those if they have to. Wow. Which is weird because it's users that make the subreddits. It's right. It's. I'm sure some of them are official Reddit things, but the other thing that's happening now is one of the largest. Well, here I'll just read it. AMAs, one of the biggest thing that Reddit is famous for, Ask Me Anythings, have been a Reddit staple that helped popularize the platform rather. It delivered some unique, personal, and at times fiery interviews between public figures and people who submitted questions. The Q&A format became so popular that many people host so-called AMAs these days, even off of Reddit. The way that it started was often just like asking people who had certain professions or were part of a specific event but aren't necessarily famous. So I work for a traveling circus. Ask me anything. And so any question that you've had about how that works, like where you sleep, how safe are the things, you can ask any question. They'll answer any question within, the time frame that they're open to that thing. I thought that was really cool way back when I first saw those. But it expanded to become so popular that even people like the current president, Barack Obama at the time, did one. Bill Gates has sat in the virtual hot seat to do one. A bunch of big celebrities and public figures have done these as well. The subreddit, though, which has been called its own juggernaut of a media brand, is about to look a lot different and likely less reputable. On July 1st, Reddit moved forward with the changes to the API pricing that has infuriated a large and influential portion of its user base. High pricing and a 30-day adjustment period resulted in many third-party Reddit apps closing and others moving to paid-for models that developers are unsure are sustainable. So the latest casualty in the Reddit battle has a profound impact on one of the most famous forms of Reddit content and signals a potential trend in Reddit content changing for the worse. On Saturday, the RIAMA moderators announced that they will no longer perform these duties: active solicitation of celebrities or high-profile figures to do AMAs, email or mod mail coordination with celebrities or high-profile figures and their PR teams to facilitate, educate, and operate AMAs, running and maintaining a website for scheduling the AMAs with pre-verification and proof, as well as social media promotion, sometimes with these things that are, if they're for people that aren't widely visible, You have to give some sort of proof that, yes, I'm the person from this story.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? So they're not going to be vetting any of that.
Wow.
Maintaining a current up-to-date sidebar calendar with scheduled AMAs, with scheduled reminders for users. Handling sister subreddits and categorizing crossed posts for easy following. Moderating confidential verification for EMAs. Running various bots, including automatic flaring for live posts. So all these big things that essentially have made this such a fantastic spot in Reddit, they're not going to do anymore.
Wow.
The subreddit has 22.5 million subscribers and will continue to exist, but its moderators contend that most of what makes it special will now be undermined. And so moving forward, we'll be allowing most AMA topics, leaving proof and requests for verification up to the community themselves, and limiting ourselves to removing rule-breaking material alone. This doesn't mean we're allowing fake AMAs explicitly, but it does mean you'll need to pay more attention, the moderator said. The mods will also continue to do bare minimum tasks like keeping spam out and rule enforcement, they said. But like many other Reddit moderators, they've spoken. Some will step away from their duties, and they'll reportedly be replaced as needed. So essentially, they're giving up. That's what it sounds like. It's like, look, we're going to let it be here, but we're not going to really maintain it much.
No one's watching it anymore,
right?
Just so you know.
So that's sad. That's really sad, and I really hope that Reddit takes this stuff into account, because so far it's just they're digging their heels in. They have given no quarter to anybody who has been protesting these changes, and I feel like they're not going to have a viable website much longer. At least not the way it's been heralded. Well, let's take one more break, but when we get back, we're diving into our main topic, nerding out over the past. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Nerds, LTN's brand new morning show.
Before we jump into our main topic today, we've got an article recommendation. This past Friday, Radio Matt and Rachel Knight compiled a massive new resource called Nerds and the Church. This resource is all about the disconnect between nerd culture and church culture and how we can bridge the gap. You can find it on the homepage right now on lovethynerd.com.
So this week we are kicking off what will be a regular series once a season. We will take a look at 4 years of nerd history and talk about everything we nerded out over from that year. This week we're going to kick off our first 4 years, 1985 to 1988. Now, I was born in 1985, so that's kind of why we're starting there. But it is also a banner year for nerd culture. So let's dive in to some of the most popular stuff from that year. First of all, Back to the Future. Can we just start right there? Can we start with the greatest trilogy of movies of all time?
Yeah, I do remember watching Back to the Future quite a bit.
So
go
ahead.
Didn't they have like the VHS set of all of them?
They did.
And it was like really cool looking.
It was one of, that might be the first one that I remember that was like one of those box sets that had the art that stretched across all of them and all that. Yeah. Back to the Future has been, since a child, my favorite set of movies. I remember going to Blockbuster many times, and my mom would always give me, you can rent two things. And usually it would be a movie and a Nintendo 64 game or something, but every, at least twice a year, I would ask her, can I please rent all three Back to the Futures? And I don't know why she just didn't buy those, because we bought movies and I rented them all the time. But I loved just getting all 3 of those from Blockbuster and spending all weekend long just going through all 3 of them the entire time. Just a binge watch session on repeat of all the movies. I have a edited together version of Back to the Future to where it's one long movie where they piece together the connections between the 3.
Oh yeah.
Which is really fun to watch, but it's like 5.5 hours long. Right. So it's like, if you're not doing anything else today, sit down and enjoy this movie.
Also, fun fact, we've been in the DeLorean.
A DeLorean.
No, it was the DeLorean.
It was one of those people that just have a DeLorean, that have one of those old old DeLoreans that they've modded out to look like it. But we do have some really cool pictures in those, yeah.
Do you remember we took those pictures with our little... Was it a flip phone?
It was a phone. It was a normal phone. You had a phone that had like the slide out keyboard. You remember? Oh, that was the phone. We bought it because it had a really nice camera as well.
For the time. Yeah.
For the time. But the problem was the guy who ran the thing was the one who was in charge of helping people take their photos, and he was all shaky. So even though we have a couple cool pictures, they're all kind of blurry, just a little bit blurry. They're not clear because he couldn't keep his hands from shaking.
Yeah.
Like, bro, you got to get somebody else to do that. This was also the first year of WrestleMania.
Wow.
WrestleMania number 1.
In 1985.
It was a spectacle. I wouldn't go so far to say it was a good show, but it was a spectacle. Second year was worse. Second year, they're like, hey, let's split this up into 3 different arenas. And so they did a third of the show in every different arena. And when it wasn't your turn, if you were in the arena, they just had big screens up that you could watch what was going on in the other arena. And I'm like, that's lame. That's unnecessarily lame. but I mean, it's WrestleMania now is a 2-night event and one of the biggest spectacles of the year. It's second only to the Super Bowl, I think, in popularity, and it's about around the same time. Last year's Super Bowl, not this year. This year's was all right. It wasn't bad, but last year's WrestleMania was out of this world. They had a couple iffy years, but last year, I think everything hit. It was so good. This was when MacGyver, the TV show, came out. Did you ever watch MacGyver?
You know, I don't know that I've ever seen an episode of MacGyver.
We're only
I mean, my
used
parents
to the
were
jokes.
really into them.
We're only used to the jokes from Stargate.
Yes. they would get it in there every now and then.
It was in the first episode where they had Samantha say, somehow we MacGyvered our way into this, getting this thing working. I'm like, that's fantastic. But yeah, I've watched maybe 2 or 3 episodes when I was really young, and I barely remember it.
Yeah. I wanna check it out.
And now as an adult, everything I think of is just MacGruber, that parody from Saturday Night Live. MacGruber. The Goonies. This is one of your favorite movies from childhood, isn't it?
It was not my favorite movie. It scared me.
It scared you.
It scared me when I was
made me watch it. So I thought you liked it.
That was when I was a teenager. But the first memories I have of the Goonies is being scared.
It's terror.
Yes, my sister really liked it. And so we would watch it a lot.
Oh, okay. Did it scare you all the time, every time, or did you get used to it and then come around to it?
It scared me a lot. Yeah.
It was just I'm trying to remember the movie. Is it just the, hey, you guys character, or?
Is there like a... No, maybe I'm thinking of Star Wars, the thing that's under the water.
That's Star Wars.
The trash chute.
Yeah.
But it was the hey you guys guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he creeped me out. Mm-hmm. And then I think I was just like scared of the lady too, that was chasing them the whole time. And
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how about Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
He knows that I am not a fan of Pee-wee. And that's why he's bringing it up.
I loved that movie when I was a kid, too. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, that movie scared me because it had a scene that was like a weird claymation nightmare thing that happened with the trucker lady. Like, her face just got all gross because they turned it into like a claymation kind of VFX thing, and it was disgusting. But I still loved the movie. It was about him trying to get his bike back. Like, his bike got stolen. And then it got stolen again, and then it just kept finding its way all the way across the country, and he's just traveling across the country to try and get his special red bike back.
Wow.
But that was my favorite, and so Pee-wee scars me in general. So that was like, I didn't realize that was kind of like the first Pee-wee like thing. Like, Pee-wee's Playhouse started the next year. The TV
really?
show. I always thought it was the TV show.
A movie based on the TV.
And then then they're like, here's his big movie. But no. So I don't even know. I mean, I'm sure Pee-wee existed before the movie in some form or fashion. I haven't done all the research, but I'm sure it existed enough. Kind of like Ernest, like Ernest existed as a
Before
character for like commercials and stuff. And they're like, let's make a movie out of him.
Pee-wee was in several Cheech and Chong movies.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
Tell him Large Marge. That's who it was. Tell him Large Marge sent you. Oh man, what a movie! What a movie that was.
I've never seen it, unless you made me watch it.
I'm pretty sure I made you watch it.
But I have burned it from my memory.
I didn't make you watch the circus one that came later, which I also liked and watched a lot. Pee-wee's Big Top Circus? I don't know, something like that. All right, here's something that you liked, right? Pound Puppies?
Pound Puppies, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those weird flat
All
puppy
my
dogs.
friends had little puppy dogs, and we'd bring them to church and hang out with our pound puppies with the little diaper on it.
All the little diapers. You bought one for our daughter.
I did.
Came back, I guess. I don't think they've always been around.
There was this end cap, I think, in Target that just was clearly made for millennials to purchase with an excuse of get it for your kids. And yeah, it had little pound puppies in there. It even came within the little cage that little
cage
box.
Yeah,
you could get a pound puppy. Yeah.
And it had a little diaper and everything. That's adorable. Inspector Gadget, the cartoon.
Yeah, the kids on Wednesday were watching Inspector Gadget, the original
cartoon,
and I was like, Inspector Gadget. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
With the claw guy. You only saw his arm. Unlike in the movie, which totally screwed everything up. You can't see the guy. You see his arm, you see his cat. That's all you see. Sheesh. In the back of a chair. That's what you see.
They always got to go changing things for movies.
All right, Jenga. Jenga came out in 1985. Did you realize it was that old? Yeah. I thought it was a mid-90s thing.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just when it took off. But yeah, the stacking little wood blocks game, which I am terrible at. But I think I always beat you whenever we play.
Oh.
I feel like I always beat you. I feel like you're worse.
I feel like you probably nudged me while I was trying to do it.
I just bumped the bottom of the table. Just push it ever so slightly, let it wiggle a little. New Coke came out in 1985. Not everything can be a victory for the year. New Coke, the Coke everyone hated. You're like, hey, everyone loves our product. You know what we should do? Change it. A lot of companies have fallen by that problem a lot. Windows 7. You know what? Everybody loves Windows 7. It's like the best operating system we've ever made. For Windows 8, let's change every single thing about our program.
Was that Vista?
No, that was Windows 8. That was the Tiles one.
Okay.
That was one that was made for touchscreen, and it was supposed to work with a Windows Phone and all this, and everything was in tiles, and everyone hated it. We had bought a new computer for the church here during the Windows 8 thing, and we had to download a program that would allow it to open up on a normal start page. So it would open up with the tiles. You wouldn't even start on a desktop.
Yeah.
It was so unimportant. But we're not talking about Windows 8. We're talking about New Coke and how nobody liked it. Chex Mix, like in the bag, also came out in 1985. Wow. I also thought that was a mid-90s thing.
Wow.
A lot older than I thought. I'm a big fan of that Chex Mix.
Right.
I like making your own. You can add a little bit more of the seasoning and stuff and whatnot, and you can put in what you want instead of those weird breadsticks that nobody likes and they're pointless.
I like the breadsticks.
They're terrible. It's just gluten. It tastes like nothing. It tastes like crunchy gluten.
I do like how they have a whole bag of just the rye chips.
The rye chips.
You can just get those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the seasoning doesn't even stick to the breadsticks. They're like too smooth and gross.
It's like the break you take in between.
I don't want a break. I don't want a palate cleanser in between the same snack I'm eating. Weird Al's Dare to Be Stupid album.
Oh, wow.
Came out this year. Maybe my favorite Weird Al album. Let's go through this track list here. Had Like a Surgeon, which was the Like a Virgin parody from Madonna. Dare to Be Stupid, which was a fantastic anthem that he wrote himself. I Want a New Duck, instead of I Want a New Drug. I want a new duck, one that won't try to bite. 1 More Minute. This was like an Elvis Presley style doo-wop ballad, but about not liking the lady. I don't remember the lyrics now, but it ends with "Then spend 1 more minute with you." So it's like I'd rather do this.
Oh, got you.
Yoda.
Oh, okay.
Which was a parody of Lola by the Kinks, but I would sing that.
I remember you
car
singing
trips.
that
Yeah, very out loud. The George of the Jungle theme song. This was actually for the television theme that he wrote. George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. Slime Creatures from Outer Space. This wasn't technically a parody. It was more of a style parody from sci-fi soundtracks, but it was about running from slime creatures from outer space. Girls Just Want to Have Lunch. Cyndi Lauper parody.
George of the Jungle was a great movie.
It was.
Yes. I can't say your name.
Huh?
The Viridian Toothy Cow.
The Viridian Toothy Cow. You said it. George of the Jungle was a great movie. Yeah. The first one. The second one was terrible.
I didn't know Weird Al made the song for that.
Well, it wasn't for the movie. I think someone else I don't even know if they had the lyrics in the movie one, but it was for the television show, the cartoon.
Okay.
Then This Is the Life, which was a Johnny Dangerously song. Cable TV, which was a style parody of Hercules by Elton John. And then Hooked on Polkas, which he always does those cool polka melodies. But anyway, it was a solid album, front to back. I really enjoyed it. The NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the very first, came out in 1985, along with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. Classic stuff we've already chatted about on the show earlier, but fantastic game.
I remember we didn't have an NES, but I remember going over to a friend's house who had it and playing Duck Hunt all the time. They would do the Super Mario Brothers thing, and I did not like. I was terrible, still am terrible at it. I do not compute with how you do things on that. But I loved Duck Hunt.
Duck Hunt is good.
The little dog.
Trishan says Dare to Be Stupid was the best song. It was on the original animated Transformers movie soundtrack that I love to torture my kids with. Was Dare to Be Stupid on a soundtrack?
Okay.
That's crazy, especially for Transformers. That's nuts. That was a good, It's like spitting on a fish. It's like barking up a tree. It's like they say you gotta buy one if you want to get one free. Dare to be stupid. I can't hear you. Dare to be stupid.
Oh my God.
Okay, I can hear you now. Dare to be stupid.
Are you allowed to be singing that for that long?
Oh, probably not. Man. All right. The Golden Girls. This doesn't seem on the surface like a nerdy thing, but people have been nerding out about that show for the last 5-10 years now
This
for
is
some
true.
reason.
I have 2 friends that's like their favorite show.
Obsessed with it.
Like like how I am with The Office.
Mm-hmm.
That's how she is with Golden Girls. She'll just continuously be watching it in the background all the time.
Yeah. They made their own like Little People set, just like they did for The Office, for the Golden Girls. They got all kinds of Golden Girls t-shirts and merch out right now. It's crazy how that has become like a weird cult favorite this many years later.
And I did watch it. I don't know if I ever
episodes.
Finished it, but I was watching through them. Yeah, they're pretty funny.
I watched them, I think, every now and then when it came on like at Nick at Night or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Back when I was a kid. It was all right. I didn't understand all the weird adult jokes, but I liked Betty White. Spies Like Us. Now, that's a movie you introduced me to that you do like. Spies Like Us. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, right?
Yes.
Dan Aykroyd?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Okay.
I love that movie.
Weird spy movie. A lot of classic like jokes that I don't think a lot of people realize came from that movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like the doctor. But yeah, that was
I recently thought of that movie as I was taking my exams.
When they're trying
they're
to
like
perform surgery.
cheating.
Oh yeah, when
they're cheating, taking that.
Got the fake arm.
Because every time I went into an exam, I would
too, right?
I would have to I'd have to pull up my pant legs and show them my sleeves and put my pockets inside out, and I'm like, it's because of you, Chevy Chase.
It really is. Mosaic says it's hilarious when they're trying to perform surgery.
Yeah.
The whole movie, real good stuff.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kelly Adder. All right, Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was a major comic book event in DC Comics.
Okay.
Which was so popular, they're still like doing it. Like they just a couple years ago, the Arrowverse did their version of Crisis on Infinite Earths, going to all these different properties. They saw both versions of several versions of the Flash. In that, we had Ezra Miller's The Flash show up at the end. We had the original TV show Flash, who's been in the series, but he was also a part of the show as his original Flash self. But we also got to see the Superman Returns, Brandon Routh version of Superman. I guess it wasn't exactly that character, but we got to see him as like the Kingdom Come Superman. We saw Kevin Conroy, who's been the voice of the animated Batman for such a long time, passed away a couple years ago. We got to see him actually in person as a retired Batman in like this suit because his body's all broken, like this suit to let him walk. In the show, not in real life.
Okay.
We got to see the return to Smallville.
Oh, right.
With Tom Welling and Erica Durance. That was really cool, too. So that was inspired by this original big crossover event that happened in 1985. Now, originally before that, they did like Crisis on Two Earths a couple, I think 4 different times, where you got to see the JSA, the Justice Society, with the old versions of the superheroes and, Hawkman and all those kind, and Dr. Fate. And then you'd see the new Justice League as well, and they would cross over. And they both had a Flash, and that was usually how this kind of worked. But Crisis on Infinite Earths was, oh my gosh, this whole multiverse is collapsing because of the Anti-Monitor and all this. It was a whole big thing. So you got to see all these different versions of superheroes from all across the different weird multiverse. Most of them were like just normal, slightly tweaked, different skin color, slightly different outfits. Some of them were like super weird, like a superhero rabbit with more bodies, like really strange things. The comic series is the gold standard. Yes, it really is. So I have it at home. Captain Carrot. Thank you. Yes, I knew it was Carrot something. I couldn't remember what. But like it was just such a good. It was kind of a little bit mind bending. Like what's happening here? Then they came out several years later.
The death of Flash and Supergirl.
It was the death of Flash and Supergirl. Yeah, the Barry Allen. That's how Barry Allen died. And we didn't see him come back for a couple decades almost. But yeah, he died too, and that was part of the story with the Flash TV series, the new Flash TV series. It started off the very first episode started off with them looking at a news story from the future that said Flash missing in crisis.
Oh, okay.
They were hyping that from the beginning. Yeah, I mean, I'll go on and talk about it forever, and I'm sure Mosaic here in the chat would too. But it's so good, and if you've been a fan of superheroes, especially DC Comics superheroes, that's something worth going and picking up. And then they continue the story when I was starting to get into comics myself here, and as an adult, like started collecting some trades with a series called Infinite Crisis, which picked up with some of the characters from back then that we thought had died. And I remember
you getting those going to the comic book shop.
I really liked it.
Being all excited when another one came out.
Yeah. Yep. It allowed DC Comics to add characters they acquired from Charlton Comics into their catalog, like Blue Beetle. That's correct. I completely forgot about that. They do these kind of crossover events every so often as a method of cleaning up the universe. So usually things are folded into each other. And so unfortunately, I feel like they do it a little too often nowadays. Like it feels like every year there's got to be like this big universe changing event. It's probably not that often, but still. Random Rick reviews, RRR. What's up? Good morning to you. All right. Clue, the movie.
Okay.
Clue, the movie.
Okay.
1985. Wasn't very popular when it came out.
But now it is.
Cult following after that.
Yeah.
Last year was Dark Crisis. There was a Dark
Curry?
Crisis on Infinite Earths? Ooh, I'm not caught up. I'm going to have to go catch that.
Oh, he saw it at the movies.
At the movies.
Did you like it at the movies? Or was that later?
Did it originally air with the different endings depending on where you were at?
Oh.
Or did it just throw in like the different endings could be? I feel like the ending was different at different places. Yeah, different endings.
Different endings.
That was a crazy thing.
That is cool.
Like today, where like news stories are hyping up the fact that the new Spider-Man across the whatever it's called, the Spider-Verse movie that's out right now has a few different like lines in different depending on where you're watching it. Like there's dialogue changes, options are swapped out.
Really?
But it doesn't really change the story overall. This was a completely different ending depending on where you saw the movie.
Right.
That's nuts. Who was the killer? You had to go see it more than once. Did it change like just randomly in the theaters too, or did just every theater have a different version? I don't know. But that's really cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. You're the guy putting the movie in. Which ending am I going to do today?
If you did, and if you didn't know that they were doing that, and you had already seen it, and then you go back and see it again, and it had a completely different ending, what's your reaction in the theater? Like, do you think you were gone crazy before? Yeah. Gremlins 2, I heard, had 2 different cameos. One was Hulk Hogan, and the other movie I think had John Wayne. That's weird. 3 different endings, different theaters were delivered. Okay, random version. So you'd have to go to a different theater, I would assume. But that's nuts. That's a cool thing.
That is.
Also coming out in 1985, Sour Patch Kids.
Okay, your favorite candy.
Best sour candy on the planet. It used to be the greatest candy of all time until they added blue raspberry to it. Now I can't eat it in the dark. Can't eat it in a movie theater because I don't know if I'm going to get a blue one. Blah.
Haven't you like pre-sorted it before going to the movies?
When I've bought bags to sneak in? Absolutely, I have.
Yeah. We've never snuck in candy.
No, our theater doesn't have Sour Patch Kids. They sell those knockoff Sour Jacks, brand or whatever, and they don't have blue raspberry in them. So usually I'll just go ahead and buy the Sour Jacks from the theater.
Hello there.
Thank you for that follow, Random Rick Reviews. All right. Next up, Calvin and Hobbes.
Oh.
Tail end of 1985, jumped in the end of November, but that was the kickoff of Calvin and Hobbes. Somebody in our nerdy wishes Christmas thing bought me the Calvin and Hobbes full set of every strip, and I've been going through them slowly, and it's just so fun. So fun.
Our son has been reading.
He's been reading.
He got one.
Yeah, that's right. He got one of the collections.
Yes.
Calvin and Hobbes is the GOAT, the greatest of all time comic strip. Attack of the Murder Snowman. Calvin and Hobbes is my pastor's favorite comic. It's good. It's a good one.
Yeah.
I've been in love with the Calvin and Hobbes comic book for a long time. I got hijacked and he's peeing on everything. He should be like Calvin. Anytime something got in his way, he just peed on it. And the last thing that came out in 1985 that we're going to talk about today, the Taco Bell Mexican pizza.
Oh, you should have told me. I would have worn my shirt.
Should have worn your shirt. I got randomly selected to win one of their I Brought Back the Mexican Pizza t-shirts last year. And they don't have my size because I'm a big fat man. So I got it in Daedra's size, and she wears it every now and then, and it makes me love her even more. Makes me want a fourth kid. All right.
Oh, geez, that was loud.
I was put a point on it. Sorry. It was a joke about married things.
Every time I wear it, Eli's like, "Can we go get a Mexican pizza?"
I love the Mexican pizza. I was so sad when the pandemic took it away. It used to be slightly better because they used to have green onion on it too. And then there was that weird E. coli outbreak for all green onions everywhere. And so they took it off and then they just never brought it back.
Yeah.
And I guess that makes sense because it's like the only thing it was on. And so why would you
bring it back for that one item?
For the one item.
No, they had it on their cheesy potatoes too. I really liked their cheesy potatoes, and it had them on there.
Oh, that sounds so good. I forgot all about that. They did have it on the cheesy potatoes.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I enjoyed those.
That little onion kick just took it over the top.
You just need to sneak some in.
I guess that's it. We'll just bring our own chives. Take it home. Put our own chives on. Man,
I'm talking about
not chives.
Taco Bell.
Go get dang Taco Bell. Golly.
I know. I'm like, this is where I'm headed after this.
But anyway, they took the Mexican pizza away because of COVID. They also took the cheesy fiesta potatoes away. They took all the good things away.
Yeah.
Then they brought it back, remember, and it was so popular. It exceeded their expectations so much that they, like, every store sold out in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
3 weeks. It was supposed to be back forever, and they sold out of all their stuff that they had ready for the launch in 3 weeks. They're like, you know what? We're going to have to take a couple more months and start this again. So that was weird. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and cap off the year right there. We'll be back tomorrow to take a look at 1986. But as for today, we are out of coffee, so it's time to wrap things up.
But before we go, let's get out our verse of the day. Today's verse is 2 Peter 1:4. And because of his glory and excellence, he has given us great and precious promises. What am I saying? Great and precious promises. These are the promises that enable you to share his divine nature and escape the world's corruption caused by human desires.
And with that, our Monday show is coming to a close. Thank you for joining us for Rise and Shine Nerds. We want to invite you to get behind the scenes by joining our LTN Discord community. Once you've joined at lovethynerd.com/Discord, simply go to channels and roles and click on the Rise and Shine Nerds channel to gain access to it. You can help us plan shows and segments and even be on the show yourself on occasion. Subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast app or through the Love Thy Nerd YouTube channel. And don't miss an episode. Trombone Dalek, thank you for cheering those bits. And tell us what you think of the show via our socials at Rise and Shine LTN on Facebook and Twitter. Once again, I'm Radio Matt.
I'm Daedra.
And as always, a reminder.
Jesus loves you, nerds.
Thank you.